Welcome, welcome. Today we are talking more in detail about these different parts of you. You could call them the Great Eight. 8 different parts. We're going to have an overview today and go deeper into them later this week. Have you ever been in that moment in your life? I know I have, where you go like, part of me wants to do this, part of me wants to do that. And you feel in conflict. Part of you wants to go to the gym, and part of you wants to go stay on the couch. Part of you wants to create this amazing relationship, and part of you is comfortable enough in this one that's, it's okay. These different things. It can be work, it can be whatever. We have these different parts of us, and when they're in conflict, things just don't flow. And I'll explain more in next series of videos, but there's literally these 8 different parts. And you might think, well, if 7 of them agree on something, if 7 of them agree on my job or my relationship, then that should be enough. And the answer is things can seem to be working, but there's a level of instability and internal conflict. And, for guys, sometimes what we need is to really be challenged. It's a lot of times what we need. And sometimes that can be overboard where it's militant and it's heartless. On the other end of certain men's movements, it's where we're getting connected to our emotions, to our feelings. And sometimes it can be just too esoteric and woo-woo and a never-ending cacao ceremony where everyone's talking about their feelings and hugging. So you need challenge. You need healing, but we can get stuck in just getting pushed and challenged. We can get stuck in just never-ending healing, right? What we really need is to integrate and understand ourselves. And sometimes we're trying to block a part of ourselves in a certain area of life. Sometimes it's much bigger than that. It's not just, I haven't really been listening, to myself about this since I got this job. Sometimes there's parts of us that they haven't really been able to express themselves for years, for decades, in an entire relationship, in a certain family conflict. And this is what's interesting when I see people, abuse alcohol and drugs, it can be to liberate that energy. I was just talking to someone today and they were saying there's this person in his family that lies a lot, but when they get super drunk, they confess everything, which the being very drunk doesn't go very well, but the honesty, that part comes out because there's no filter. Obviously, that's not the solution, but the point is we have different parts of us. And if we're not where we want to be, if we're self-sabotaging, if things aren't moving along, if we keep creating a goal or we keep doing personal development and we think it's just, it's got to be another book, it's got to be another this, and we've been hovering in the same place, we're actually in like a war with ourselves. Some more chaotic or violent of a war than others, but and what an interesting thing to think about, to look at the status just of the world. There's always some stuff going on for years. I'm sure it'll be crazier in another year or two. The world would be better if there was unity, right? Most of us can agree with can't we just all get along? Or just you do your thing, I'll do my thing. We don't have to even get along. Just let's unite in that sense. Let's unite that we're humans, right? And it's interesting because that would be ideal. If Israel and Palestine just, where they were friends one day. That'd be great. What's interesting is that's such a high level thing. That's such a big thing, whether it's countries, whether it's the world, whether it's a city, whether it's politics, where we can start with something we can actually influence is creating peace within ourselves, ending the war that lives inside of us, that everyone's fighting. Part of me wants to do this, part of me wants to do that. And when I started to learn and then I developed my own distinctions and additions on this technology, I started to learn this stuff 13 years ago and have studied what I've studied, created what I've created since then. And it just keeps surprising me more. Even in the last few years, I'm like, oh wow, this is that much more real. That if, and like a big one that comes up for guys, relationships. When women look at relationships, let's say if it's an overall pie of 100%, women generally look at relationships and it seems 80%, 90% positive. They're gonna wanna change things and this and that. But overall, it goes relationships equals safety, love, pleasure, however you wanna say it. Men, because of what we believe about freedom, because of what we believe a relationship means, because of how we believe freedom comes about. A guy can get freedom in a relationship by expressing himself in a way he's never expressed himself. A lot of us don't even think that way. I remember the first time I heard that more than a decade ago, I thought that was crazy. But a lot of it's just like, well, what if I can't have sex with another woman, or what if she's gonna, try to control my time? There's so many things. Freedom shows up in many different ways for a lot of men. So let's say a guy feels 50% positive, pleasurable, love, safety, whatever it is, freedom in a relationship, and 50% the opposite, or 60-40. 60-40, even though it's not 50-50, it's enough where they're two big chunks. Where if there's a woman and she's 87% and 13, that is like still, okay, relationships equal pleasure, happiness, joy, safety, love. So as guys, to understand these internal conflicts and get these pieces of ourselves, not for someone outside to tell you what to do, but get these pieces of ourselves talking to each other. In some ways that can be healing. In some ways it's agreeing. It's actually seeing that these two parts that seem to be in conflict, there's actually a deeper desire that they both share. Because one of the biggest things that'll come up if this isn't true is self-sabotage. And it might not present itself as self-sabotage. I go, I can't shake this addiction. Quit smoking weed, but now I'm back drinking. Or now I'm back with this. Or now it doesn't really matter. It's gonna be a different flavor of the same problem, the same pain of that part of us that's not understood, that's mad, that's hurt, that just wants to express itself. And as guys, the interesting thing where women and men, women are gonna talk to somebody. Even if they don't have a lot of friends, they're gonna talk to the girl who does her hair. As men, just the way we're conditioned, we can push things down for years, for decades, of just pretending it's not there. But we have the same parts, whether you're male or female, we have these different pieces of us. And I don't need to convince you that it's true, and it's not true because I'm so smart, I'd have to be pretty stupid not to realize it by this point. Like, there's patterns in human behavior, and that's an obvious one you've heard people say. Part of me feels this way, part of me feels that way. However, I've found that these things can actually escalate. Like, they can have been suppressed for years or decades and come out in a drunken thing in a relationship, or at a, what do you call it? Like a business dinner, a business party, with the office party, and someone drinks too much and they say that thing. They've been working there 8 years and they say that thing they've always wanted to say, probably not the way they should have said it, with too many rum and cokes at the office party. Why is this important? If we're not where we want to be, if we don't have what we want, and especially if we've been kind of stuck in a personal development, spiritual slump, meaning the last year, the last 2 years, the last 5 years, I do this stuff, I read this book, got this course, I worked with this guy, but the results aren't exponentially different. It's because we have internal conflict. And as I mentioned before, we can be so aggressive, so hard, so overly masculine on ourselves and have that militant side, or we can get lost in the new age spirituality where it's, a never-ending healing, where someone looking at, okay, I've done a lot of inner work, I'm whole, but there is stuff that's gonna still come up that I have to work on. And integrating these different parts and actually having even having a vision, whether it's your relationship vision, it's your business vision, that these parts are all working in unison, that everyone's on the team. Because if 6 of them say yes, 2 of them say no, or vice versa, or 1 and 7, or 4 and 4, it's hard. It's not just hard, I'm being gentle. It can be many things impossible. Or then it has to come out, someone's making the money, but they're drinking again. Someone's in the relationship, but then they're back to porn. That these parts they're gonna come out some way, somehow. It's just, are they gonna come out in a way where there's a sense of collaboration, or are they gonna come out in a way where it's chaotic? Later this week, I'm gonna go into greater detail. I'll do a video on each one of the 8. And I would be curious, as you watch that, will you notice what's the one that stands out to you, the 1 or 2? Like, oh, this is the one that trips me up. Oh, you know what? I'm not expressing this part. And it might be more than one, because you might go, oh, I'm not expressing this in business, but then it's something totally different in your relationship. And because these 2 things aren't expressed, it's coming out in some other way. Thanks for tuning in. I'll see you again very soon.